So here we go. I've been wanting to do this video for a little while now. Making a dubbing brush. This is going to be a brush that I use for the Calamari fly. I use it to make the head and the body. It's a blend of fibres. A few tools you're going to need. Some stainless wire, some dubbing wax, some scissors that you're not bothered about. One tool that's really key is a stiff bristled brush. I got this from the pet shop. Makes the job very easy. A turbo spinner, which is locked in my vise, and a table. So yeah, first thing I do, take the wire and I attach it to the spinner. I do it this way. There's millions of ways you can do it, I'm sure. And then I come across and I lock it into the spring. And then I get some wax. Don't need heaps. Just give it a nice even-ish coat. Just helps lock in all the fibres so they don't slip everywhere. And yeah, bring up the table. And yeah, we're basically ready to go. I actually, my magnets are good, but I just lock it in with something else. Just a can, seems to be the right, spray can's the right size. But yeah, I've had it fall down a few times and yeah, it's a nightmare. So a few materials I'm going to use for this one. BB synthetic fibres, Beastbrushes fibre, white, yellow, dark tan, and just a bit of black SF Steve Farrer. Just to give it a bit of contrast, a bit more wiry, just adds a bit of depth. And Ripple ice fibre, I just use pearl green hue. And yeah, away we go. I've pre-cut some clumps of material, just to the length I sort of want them to be. Look, I trim these down really short, especially on the head. But yeah, I like to keep the fibres long on the body, so I generally do them the one length. But the key is, I think, is just start off minimal. Don't apply too much. You want to get a nice sparse blend. But yeah, look, you don't have to be pretty with it. The key is keep it relatively sparse but quite even. So white's the base color for this one. I'm going to go in with a bit of yellow. And yeah, just literally all I do is I just pull out a bit and keep it sparse. Just take a bit out at a time, there's no rush. Once you've done a few, you kind of get to know the ratio. So yeah, pretty happy with that for yellow. Go in with a bit of tan. Tan or rust, but this is tan. You can imagine though, if you're doing a lot of flies that require a lot of brushes, there's a lot to make. I certainly don't tie heaps, but I tie enough that, yeah, it's a process that you have to do and I enjoy it. However, it's nice to get onto the tying. But again, just take a bit at a time. You don't have to rush it. You can always take a bit off. Now, just going to put in a bit of the black Steve Farrer blend. Don't need much. Just a bit more wiry than the BB fibre, you know, and we're not looking for perfection there, because at the end of the day, once you start spinning this up, it's going to look fine. Even if you do clump it a bit much, you know, like I did there, just take a bit off. Any excess you can sort of trim off. And last thing, yeah, put in the ripple ice just to add a bit of flash. It's quite hard to lay on nice, but it doesn't really matter. You'll see it'll work. You just got to get it on there, which can be a bit tricky. But like I said, we're not looking for perfection in the laying of the material. Once you spin it up, you'll see it all come together. Try to be even though. Yeah, that's the only thing I guess I'd say is just try and be even. An even spread of material. Let's go a touch more, just a little bit more. And look, if you want, you know, I could add in more white now if I wanted. If I wasn't happy, I could add in a bit more yellow. You know, your freedom here to do what you want, which is what is so good about making your own. So now I'm ready to bring over the wire. I'm just taking out my support. So yeah, bring the wire over and trap the fibres in the middle. And yeah, I go over to my turbo spinner. The way I do it, I spin it a little bit just to lock it in, and then I cut the wire to my bobbin. So that's out of the equation. And yeah, I'm ready to spin. Basically, I lower the table a little bit. There's no set technique, I think, to this, but I lower the table a little bit. Once it starts to spin up, I lower it completely. I give it a good spin. At this stage, I just want to lock in those fibres. That's about where I go. And then get busy with the brush. And you can be rough. Like, not rough, but you can, don't be afraid to rip in. Because the wire's strong. You can see the spring. As long as you've got a spring on your table, that'll take out the shot. Yeah, I've never broken one, ever. So, you know, you don't need to worry. So yeah, you want to just untrap those fibres as best you can. Pretty happy with that. And then I'll spin it some more. You could sort of brush it as you go, but I find this works well for me. So I'm probably like 2/3 of the way through now. Again, just take your time brushing out these fibres. That's the key. And yeah, don't be afraid to get in there. To be honest, I've tried a bodkin. It does kind of work, but this brush, these wire brushes are so much better. You can really rip in and untrap those fibres. As you can see, like, we're pretty sweet. Like, I probably could finish there, but I'm gonna give it another spin. And I reckon we're good. I'm just gonna untrap all those fibres now. Like I say, I generally tie these to go as I'm tying. I might tie 10 or so if I know I'm going to be tying a few flies. I'll prep them the night before or whatever. But you know, once you get in a rhythm, you can bang them out in 4 or 5 minutes easy, a piece. And yeah, you just don't want your wire to be too thick with material, because it just doesn't wrap well when you tie it in. It doesn't look good. You know, you can tease out a lot of material. Like you can see, I'm not being shy. I'm not going gentle. I'm ripping in and it's coming out nice, so it's the key. And pretty much there. Like I say, I'm not looking for perfection. You could trim off a few long strands if you want. I'm going to trim this all down once I've tied it in anyway, so I'm not fussed. But yeah, I think we're there. All you got to do now, trim off your wire, keep a little bit extra hanging out for tying in, and yeah, there we have it. Brush ready to go. Pretty natural colour this one. I'm looking for a specific blend. The tan is a bit light. I probably would have preferred a rust, but it's going to work well. Once it's all tied up, you know, bit of marker pen work as well. It'll look great. But yeah, dubbing brush.